still asleep, and I ain't talking about no bedtime. Still asleep, and I ain't talking about no bedtime. Get your head right, not a Google search illusion. Get your head right, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm looking for thread lines, smashing every deadline. Look no longer smashing red wine, every deadline. The bells chiming, feels like the end time. The bells chiming, feels like the end time. But the carnal mind is foolish, and then the carnal mind is don't get used by it, and then the soul and learn to use it. Make a load of it, take control and learn to use it. Make a load of it, use it. This whole world is for you, the music. Know a bit about everything, about everything. I'm not you know a bit about everything, about what's like the else. I'm not going to be sound cocky, I'm not using it out, I'm waiting for the else. I'm not using it out, I'm not using it out. It's been about profit, everything's out, I'm not in your house. I'm down, been about profit, I'm with the sounds, and I'm down for the house. I'm down, for the sounds, and I'm down for the beat. Don't be down, melt me down. All in the mind, hell freeze now. Hell sick with it, hell all in the mind, hell freeze now. Feel sick with it, hell freeze out. Seek how to speak out, I will recount the reasons to be out. Seek how to speak out, I will recount the reasons to be out.
Hello, welcome everybody. While I get my microphone and camera turned on, thank you guys for staying tuned, staying true, and keeping it booming and moving. Man, here at the 509 Divine Pines, we keep it grooving. And it is October 26th, 2025. Thank you guys. Once again, man, like, subscribe, and share. Tell everybody around that this is going down. It is episode 253, and I am showcasing some breaking news about NASA activating space defense, our government putting money into their pockets probably, and the whole shebang on what that might look like, and featuring a documentary at the end. So this is going to be a good episode, filled with some news and some videos, and a lot of information to grasp onto. Yeah, man. Hey, I just want to say that it was a beautiful day. Literally, the sun was shining, and none of those, toxic rain drops were falling. Because I hear in some places around the world, it's like seemingly more and more artificial rain is coming down. Yeah, that's horrible. I don't think that's right. I don't think it's cool that our weather is being manipulated on a grand scale. I know Matt Landman over at Frankenskies knows more about that. But for now, hey man, I just want to say I have a new sponsor, and I am glad to announce that I am with Chemical Free Body. Thanks to my new sponsors over at Chemical Free Body. Use coupon code 509 Divine Pines. They have won many of awards. This guy is amazing. Tim James, the Oregon Health Hero. Yes, straight out of the Pacific Northwest. He has saunas, water devices, air purifiers, green 85 juice formulas with D3, all organic supplements, nano silver gel for anybody who wants a healing gel for, cuts, bruises, scrapes, viruses, and things like that. Very good product. Tim's favorite over here, parasite free. So there's a whole bunch of products that are great. Gut detox, toxin detox, turmeric 100, all premium products. And Chemical Free Body has been on before. I will have another affiliate of Chemical Free Body on my podcast here on air pretty soon. So I just want to say thank them, and representing a West Coast, fellow company, I guess, right? This is an awesome thing. You can go check out their website over at chemicalfreebody.com, and they have a $10 off your next order when you subscribe. Well, you can also maybe apply that with the 509 Divine Pines coupon code. Double the savings, man. Yeah, enough about that. Today we are talking about breaking news, and this isn't even a joke. Like, I woke up this morning, I read it, I looked sideways. I was like, wasn't I just talking about this? And I was. I think it all blends in with my episode a couple days ago, 3i Atlas. How there's been a lot more discussions from government officials, from scientists, and all the bullshitters of bigwig tech. They're talking about this event and they're talking about this possible danger. And in my head, I'm like, man, I don't know. It's just I just don't know if it's the real thing yet. We're gonna get into it today. Where it's I guess it's continuation from the episode Monday, but this is more of a breaking news and a deeper dive with a documentary. So as Avi Loeb and the rest of these scientists have been talking about them studying the skies and seeing that there's some anomalies with this 3i Atlas, it being possibly an alien spaceship. I'm trying to straighten out my glasses here. If this comet or alien spaceship is a threat, well, then what's the next step? And then today, it happened. NASA activated the planetary defense, which is pretty much the government's defense plan for interstellar danger. So if there's anything, comets, meteors, aliens, satellites falling from the sky, the sun coming too close, if this is Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask and the moon's coming too close, things like that, right? If things are coming in from the sky to Earth, then the government's measure is interplanetary space defense. And we're going to show videos of how that might look. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up these articles now. I'm running the one-man show. So, we just got to do it all by myself. Shit. What the fuck? All right, so here it is. The White House just announced that a private equity has been tapped in to fund the expansion of the U.S. military. So remember, the U.S. military with Donald Trump, that fake Zionist, he activated and made the Space Force. So this is a real thing, though. So that's not fake. Space Force is the newest military branch, right? But it's been super secretive. Money being poured into it. I guess technologies and advancements. But now there's a White House announcement that a private equity has been tapped to fund the expansion of the U.S. military. What does that mean? Well, I guess let's listen to this, and then we can put two and two together, I believe.
You probably know who this guy is. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, now the Secretary of War. But he's not really in charge. He's just the TV guy, looks good on camera, gets people riled up, but there's actually someone else who runs the military. And that guy is billionaire Steve Feinberg, the Deputy Secretary of Defense. He is the Pentagon's chief operating officer, overseeing the day-to-day operations of the agency. He's also the co-founder.
I didn't realize it wasn't on screen, so let me go ahead and do that. Apologize, guys. See, that's what I mean. I'm doing this all by myself. One man show. Hey, but this is how you know it's real. Oh my god. The audio isn't playing. Let me do this one more time. This is the This is the issue with live stream, so I didn't realize that the audio wasn't playing. I wonder now if last night's audio was playing. I believe it was, though. Okay, one more time. Here we go.
Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, now the Secretary of War. But he's not really in charge. He's just the TV guy, looks good on camera, gets people riled up, but there's actually someone else who runs the military. And that guy is billionaire Steve Feinberg, the Deputy Secretary of Defense. He is the Pentagon's chief operating officer overseeing the day-to-day operations of the agency. He's also the co-founder of Cerberus Capital, which is a defense-focused private equity firm. And guess what he's doing now? Yep, private equity is getting ready to take over the funding of the U.S. Army. Okay, this is reporting from Semaphore, quote, the U.S. Army has turned to private equity to fund an infrastructure overhaul. Two top White House officials met with Wall Street investors last week, part of a Trump administration effort to enlist the $13 trillion private capital industry into public financing. This is not good because, different than public funding, the only thing that these guys care about is returning money to shareholders. In fact, they have a fiduciary duty to maximize returns. In fact, many people don't know this, but private equity funds are contractually obligated to liquidate within a certain time horizon. And so that means at the end of their investment cycle, they must return money back to the shareholders no matter what. So in this case, their investment is weapons. So the only possible outcome in which their assets go up is, of course, more war.
Now, what type of war? Well, I think if we can see the war on terrorism isn't working, the war against the enemy of Ukraine and Israel isn't working. People don't want to just donate to that anymore, so they're gonna create a new scare. And here it is: NASA's Planetary Defense Network announcement. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. So NASA says it's guarding Earth from asteroids and comets, but here's the truth of those so-called space rocks. They aren't from deep space at all. They're fragments of satellites, orbital debris breaking apart in the atmosphere, leftovers of decades of secret military and corporate experiments. There's other craft up there from other entities. The new planetary defense network isn't about saving Earth. It's about monitoring, redirecting, and weaponizing these fragments through electromagnetic and scalar field systems, turning the orbital layer into a testing ground for frequency warfare and weather-altering operations. Every radar ping, every telescope calibration, every meteor is part of their cover story. They're mapping what's falling not from the stars, but falling from our own engineered sky. It's not defense. It's controlled and disguised as science. So, that sounds about right. Sounds about right. So, here are the documents. The NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office wrote this in alliance with the International Asteroid Warning Network and has officially activated a global planetary defense campaign. So here is the actual writing. Comets present unique challenges for accurate astronomic measures and orbit predictions. Cometary bodies are extended with morphological features and can systematically pull their centroid measurements off their central brightness peak, presenting challenges to estimate comet trajectories. The International Asteroid Warning Network announces a comet campaign from November 27, 2025 through January 27, 2026 to introduce methods for improving astrometry from comet observations. The campaign will target the Comet 3I Atlas to exercise the capability of the observing community to extract accurate astrometry. To prepare for the campaign, we will hold a workshop on techniques to correctly measure comet astrometry. So here is the campaign schedule. Comet campaign workshop November 10th. Campaign kickoff November 25th, 2025. right before Thanksgiving. Observing window opens Thanksgiving, November 27th, 2025. Mid campaign check in telecon, December 9th, 2025. Observing window closes January 27th, 2026. Closeout telecon, February 3rd, 2026. The mission to meticulously track the interstellar object 3I Atlas. The comet exhibits anomalous features, an anti-tail stretching toward the sun, and an orbit closely aligned with the ecliptic, posing a potential risk that must be precisely assessed. This marks the first ever worldwide campaign of its kind aimed at monitoring an interstellar visitor. Hold on. Isn't it in all the cultures when they say that they see the dragon in the sky, they know doom is coming? And this sounds like that, a tail stretching toward the sun and an orbit closely aligned with the ecliptic, posing what? Very weird. It is a strange thing. Whatever they're saying about it, and the video yesterday showed. Everybody wants to see the video real
You're
quick?
probably
Let's see if I can see it. Where is it? Yeah, this video. Oh my. Keep going. And the video. Yeah. Of this fucking. Where is it? You know what? I'll just type it in. It seems like these posts get deleted all the time because of 3i Atlas Japan video. So if it looks like a snake or a dragon or something, or large vessel, what is this? I mean, truthfully, this is very strange. So NASA and the world's governments activated the International Planetary Space Defense for this object. For a while, people were just talking about it, but now it's official. The governments are setting up space defense measures as we speak to combat this, blow it up, change directions, fight it, dance with it. Who knows? Very, very interesting. Is it an alien craft? Is it an alien craft? That's what we're thinking. So we might ask how this looks, and we're about to show that. We're about to show that here in a sec. Let's go ahead and show you the general, mainstream idea of this, right? What they want you to see, Bill and I, what they want you to know. So here's what they're going to be telling you. They did a couple years ago. Here's more technologies that they can use. So this is a high power particle beam weapon system. It emits high energy beam of charged or neutral particles like electrons, protons, alpha waves, neutrons. The system consists of 3 main blocks: high power source, particular accelerator, magnetic lens. It penetrates through its target and makes structural or electronic damages. So imagine like Stranger Things, where they got the laser and they're penetrating that wall.
Not going to kill, it is going to destroy.
Same exact weapon in real life.
Physically, this is a particle wave.
Very interesting. That looks insanely powerful. So we're wondering, how long has this been in talk? Well, check this out. China started its planetary defense system actually 6 months ago. So what is this? Why did China open up their planetary defense system for America, and why haven't they been talking about it? Well, actually, they have. They really have. And the whole world's been talking about it, but America is so far in its own ass. They don't ever listen. Here it is. China has unveiled a revolutionary planetary defense radar prototype capable of tracking over 1,000 incoming missiles and space objects simultaneously using phased array radar technology and AI-driven prediction systems. This machine can detect threats from thousands of miles or kilometers away, including intercontinental missiles or even near Earth asteroids. The system was built to simulate Earth's future space shield, working with deep space sensors to monitor high-speed objects moving at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. With its ultra-wide detection range and millisecond response time, it represents the next stage of space-based defense technology. This prototype could form the backbone of China's future planetary defense grid, blending space surveillance, missile interception, and early warning artificial intelligence into one integrated system scientists call the most ambitious radar network in human history. Oof. So, yeah, we're seeing a huge takeover of government money focused on space because we have the technology now. So here is another radar system. So this is Lattice, the laser asteroid defense interception system. So you see this big old weapon system. Yeah, that thing's real. It's super real. Okay, so here is NASA's DART mission in 2021, which blasted off SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket in a test mission to demonstrate the world's first planetary defense system designed to deflect an asteroid.
Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and DART on NASA's first planetary defense test to intentionally crash into an asteroid.
First, the aft end of the first stage, and you can see those engines coming to life.
Max Q.
Call off and back chill, so that's where it's getting ready to prepare the second stage for engine ignition.
INVAC ignition.
So we just got confirmation of MECO stage separation and stage 2 ignition. All right, so we got stage 1 coming in.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
You can see this, you can see the drone ship. The landing legs are out, and we just heard the call out for spacecraft separation. You can see the video of the DART spacecraft heading on its way to the Didymos system.
What a spectacular view.
This is getting a bit wild, right? We're seeing the measures, we're seeing the technology, we're seeing it all. So here's more. A big leap in space defense technology. Green propulsion system developed under DRDO's Technology Development Fund successfully demonstrates in-orbit functionality. A green propulsion system developed by the Technology Development Fund scheme of DRDO has successfully demonstrated in-orbit functionality on a payload launched by PSLV C-58 mission. This project, 1N class green monopropellant thruster for altitude control and orbit keeping of microsatellites, was sanctioned to a Bengaluru-based startup, Bellatrix Aerospace Private Development Agency. The telemetry data from the PSLV Orbital Experiment Module at ISRO Telemetry Tracking and Command Network Bengaluru has been validated with ground level solution and is found to have exceeded all performance parameters. This innovation technology has resulted in non-toxic and environment-friendly propulsion system for low orbit space. The system consists of indigenously developed propellant, fill and drain valves, latch systems, solenoid valve, catalyst bed, drive electronics, and the rest. It is ideal for space mission with high thrust requirements. The complete project has been carried out by the development agency under guidance of Project Monitoring and Mentoring Group of DRDO. It has demonstrated pulsed mode and steady state firing in vacuum passivation and residual propellant in outer space propellant realization and establishing a filling procedure under the TDF. The TDF is a flagship program of Ministry of Defense executed by the DRDO under the Make in India initiative for funding innovation in defense and aerospace, especially to startups and MSMEs. So there's more funding to put weapons in space and to put more better technologies and better propulsion systems. It's gonna keep on going. It is going to keep on going. So here is pictures of the United Space Force Edward Teller, interplanetary capable armed spacecraft fitted with 100 milliwatt laser. So 100 million, maybe 100 million, or is it 100? I think it would be 100 million. I don't know. I guess depending on which wordage. I don't know. Anyways, this is a laser. This is what's out in space right now. This is the spacecraft. Dude, this looks like, I swear, this looks like Tesla's coil rays times 50. Anybody out there watching, if you think that is true, let me know too, because straight up, these look like Tesla's technologies on 10, on 20. Those are pretty cool. I mean, like, not gonna lie. And if you want to see what it looks like, here it is. Here, well, this is a technology of DART. So this is the DART yellow craft that NASA sent out, and this is a video of it. And it's gonna collide with the asteroid. Oh my god! And those are the last images of it. So this is what's on that asteroid or comet. Oh wow, that is a. What can we see? It just look like rocks, just broken rocks. I don't see any remnants of buildings, bones, people, technology, craft, vehicles, nothing. Just straight up big old asteroid, rock, comet, and that's what it, I guess, looked like when the NASA's DART satellite crashed into it. Now, this is Avi Loeb once again talking about
where we said the orbit, the trajectory of this object appears to be quite remarkable. It arrives within 5 degrees of the orbital plane of the Earth around the Sun. And the chance of that happening randomly is 0.2%. And moreover, it will arrive closest to the Sun when the Earth is on the opposite side of the Sun. And moreover, if you just play with the arrival time randomly, you would notice that only 1 out of 20,000 arrival times would come as close to the inner planets like Jupiter, Mars, or Venus. So that is an unusual coincidence. And why would such a trajectory be so unusual? Well, one possibility is if it was designed by some intelligent civilization, it also comes towards us from the direction of the galactic center, from the Milky Way center, where there are lots of stars, and it's very difficult to notice it. That's why we discovered it so late. By now, it's impossible for us to launch a rocket that will intercept with it, because it would move relative to Earth. It comes in the opposite direction of the motion of Earth around the Sun, and the relative velocity would be 98 kilometers per second when it comes closest to the Sun. And that is 3 times the maximum speed that we can accomplish with chemical rockets. And so there is no way for us to reach it, to intercept with it. And perhaps it wants to break, like when we launch rockets and we want to accomplish a very high speed, we usually introduce a thrust near the sun, and that buys you the highest kick velocity, taking advantage of the gravitational assist by the sun. And so if this object wants to do a reverse maneuver, meaning to slow down and get bound to the sun so that if it's a spacecraft, so that they can visit us, that would be the point where we can't see it because it's hiding behind the sun. And it raises the interesting possibility that might be technological in origin. Of course, we will know much more in the coming month or two, and it may not be it may be just a comet, but I think it's important to consider the possibility that any interstellar object coming into the solar system might be technological. Because if you just consider the last century, we started transmitting radio signals, basically flagging that we exist as a technological civilization. And there is this dark forest hypothesis that is the answer to Fermi's paradox. Where is everybody? Well, they might be silent, waiting to notice things that might be a threat to them because they were bruised in interactions. So there might be a lot of aliens around. And if someone was listening to our technological signals, they might have realized that here there is a young technological civilization, and we don't want to have that threat. So they would send a hostile mission towards Earth. Of course, that may not be the case. We don't know. But it's the kind of threat that is not often entertained.
I find it funny how he's holding back a smirk or a laugh or a smile right then and there when he says, it might be an enemy. I think he's, you know what? I know exactly who he is. Let's hear what Kurt Metzger and the dark journalist have to say.
Starting up again, we'd love.
The thing is, don't trust them on Free Eye Atlas either.
Oh, was that again?
The space threat of coming on in. Avi Loeb is saying,
Avi.
That's like
Israeli
a Muamua, man. It's coming.
Guy.
Yeah, Avi has been on our show, which is hilarious.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
We're starting up again. We'd love to have both of you. Kurt's coming on. Yeah,
Avi is like next door to me. His physics lab is right here.
Oh, is he? Interesting guy. Totally nice guy. Totally friendly interactions with him, but there definitely does seem to be
a lot of Intel people are nice guys, and I don't hold it against.
He's out of Talpiot.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's what?
He's directly out of Talpiot, which is basically the military intelligence out of Israel for a decade.
Oh yeah.
Israel DARPA.
Yeah.
Oy.
Yeah, and also, I mean, he came over here in 1983 to work on Star Wars. That's incredible. Can you imagine the knowledge this guy has?
Maybe it'll help with our Golden Dome prison that they're going to make for us.
Okay, so he was one of the only survivors of the Star Wars program. So, in the 80s, when Reagan activated the Star Wars program, Nixon, I believe, one of them, Reagan or Nixon. There was a lot of scientists who mysteriously ended up dead. Like a dozen of them or more. I mean, they all got killed. It's not mysterious. They all got killed because they knew too much. They were working on something that was extremely top level, top secret, and they maybe didn't want to play ball anymore. They didn't want to hurt humanity anymore. They're like, oh, we can't do this. And then they're like, oh, you don't want to? Too late. Well, that's what happens, right? So Avi Loeb was the one who played ball. Avi Loeb was the one who took the money. Avi Loeb is the one who's going to do something shady out of that initiative. He's the only survivor. So it's like strange. Like, Stephen Greer, all of his homies have mysteriously died who are working on projects. And like his super close buddies, so Avi's, super close work partners in this program. Same thing, intelligence, military intelligence, government fed, pretty much Illuminati elite fed type of level. Busters, suckers.
Let's get the UFO defense grid up.
What do you think? All right, if you guys are at elevator pitch, what What is actually happening right now? What would you fucking say?
They're losing control of the thing. That's what's happening. So you see a lot of panic moves. Things aren't going. I don't know why. I'm for it. I'm all about it, though. I love it. I hope it falls apart further, especially.
Yep. That is what's happening. It's a panic mode for these guys. So they're trying to activate all the systems they can. All the systems they can.
That's lasers, right? There's something called like Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, good one.
What is that?
That is
lasers, right?
Yeah, I can actually talk about that one, but that is it's really bad. But you know the people that see orbs in the sky.
Yeah,
go around that fly faster.
UFOs.
UFOs.
Yeah, there's Navy pilots. There's multiple Navy pilots who talk about. They got their so they were flying F-18s. These Navy pilots, and one of them's coming in here in 2 weeks. He's Ryan Graves.
Okay.
He's a Navy pilot flying off the coast of North Carolina, and they got their radar upgraded on their F-18s, and all of a sudden they were seeing these things darting around on their radar.
Okay. Don't tell him what I'm about to say and see if he knows about it.
Okay.
So what we do is we play with our own forces to make sure our trickery will work on the enemy. And those are directed energy weapons of where we do intersecting beams or focus beams into the atmosphere. And notice they're always in the atmosphere to excite the electron orbitals of the oxygen and nitrogen in our atmosphere, and it causes a glow and it causes ionization. That ionization shows up on radar and it's like a cat laser pointer, and we're making planes chase them.
That's exactly how they describe these things moving, like laser pointers.
Yeah, and so we can do it in 3 space. We can make it look like
in 3-dimensional space.
Yeah, and we can make it look like an entire fleet is about to drop bombs on, let's say, Europe, and then just have them disappear. And they get all their planes up in the air, and we attack them from the other direction, assuming we're attacking
Who
Europe.
is doing this? The Navy, you said?
Space Force, Navy.
Somebody. Let's just say a group. You know.
And you know this for a fact.
I know for a fact. Yeah. So anyway, don't tell your guests.
A group within the U.S. government.
Yeah. Okay. We'll leave it at that. Yes.
DARPA.
And is this something that could be seen with the naked eye, or is this something
because
that
it glows? It glows, so it'd be seeable. You can see it by the naked eye, and it would leave a radar trace. So it's perfect as a deception, and it involves the voice of God weapons that I was talking about.
Project Bluebeam does.
And this got leaked, so it probably won't have the effect, and they probably won't do it. But if you wanted to bring the world together, as President Reagan said in several UN speeches, you would have a common enemy like evil aliens attacking. We forget our differences and we fight against it.
So we wouldn't look at each other as Chinese or Russian or American. We look at each other as Earthlings.
It's humans, as Earthlings. And so that was Project Bluebeam, was to trick the human race into believing either God is coming down, everybody hears the voice of God, the microwave hearing effect, get along, give whatever the new message is, or it was going to be the evil aliens attacking. And notice how they all of a sudden, all the governments release all their information on UFOs, and there's a whole division dedicated, and that's just deception.
You think it's all deception?
I think it's all deception.
Really?
Yeah. But that's my opinion. I've looked at all the videotapes and that people have given me, and I can explain away each one of them.
So apparently, but there's apparently lots of footage and videos and photos that have not been released to the public.
Yeah, I haven't seen those, so I can't give.
And if you think this is all some sort of psyop, what do you think the ultimate purpose of it is?
Distraction against a lot of this human experimentation we're doing.
They have the technology ready right now. We're gonna keep going. So you want to see, like he said, a hologram in the sky. What type of craft might they be operating with? Here's a driving by with some very interesting space type of craft, circular looking. It's definitely not a jet, I can tell you that. And what type of CGI hologram or what type of holograms might be present? This type of stuff. So imagine that out of nowhere, these type of entities just start appearing in the sky when the supposed Three-Eye Atlas comes by, right? People would flip out and imagine it's just a hologram. They wouldn't know. Nobody would know. That's the crazy thing about the military. They're willing to do something that deceptive. Horrible. Here's more military. Or here's more people exposing the plans of the military. Sorry.
An open very much. Have you faced any retaliation or reprisals for any of your testimony or anything on these lines?
Yeah, I have to be careful what I say in detail because there is an open whistleblower reprisal investigation on my behalf, and I don't want to compromise that investigation by providing anything that may help provide somebody information. But it was very brutal and very unfortunate, some of the tactics they used to hurt me both professionally and personally, to be quite frank. Yeah.
It's very unfortunate. As they say, when you're over the target, that's when they do the most firing at you. Do you have any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes. Personally.
Have anyone been murdered that you would think that you know of or have heard of, I guess?
I have to be careful asking that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
Maybe in a, if we could get in a confidential area, SCIF, we could talk about that. But unfortunately, we were denied access to the SCIF, and that's very unfortunate in this scenario. Mr. Favor.
So yes, this is Grush. We got Jeremy Corbell in the back. I believe that's Bigelow right here, or another. I forgot who else. Might be his name. So plenty of people in this meeting try to come out and say what they, what they know. We know that there's some fakeness. So here's another hologram just recently.
Oh, Luis Guzman. That guy's got more character in his mustache than most actors have in their entire careers. He's the kind of actor who can make you laugh just by looking at him. Now, what do you want to know more about? His roles or his illustrious mustache?
Tell me about Luis Guzman in Spanish.
Oh, Luis Guzmán. Ese tipo tiene más carisma en su bigote que muchos actores en toda su carrera. Es el tipo de actor que te puede hacer reír solo con mirarlo. ¿Qué más quieres saber sobre él? ¿Sus papeles o su bigote ilustre?
What does he like to eat?
Well, one of the nights you should definitely try some comfort food. How about some good old mac and cheese or maybe a juicy burger? Now, tell me, what's your favorite comfort food?
What is it? A burger.
A burger? Oh, you've got taste. Nothing beats a well-made burger with all the fixings. Now, tell me, how do you like your burger cooked?
Medium rare.
Medium rare?
Yes.
You know how to live? That's the perfect way to enjoy a burger.
What?
Tell me, what's the best burger joint you've ever been to?
Man, the best burger joint I ever been to was on 60th Street in New York City between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, like 40 years ago. It's not there now, but to this day, I can still taste that burger.
Oh. 60th Street in NYC? That sounds like a burger paradise from the past. It's amazing how food can leave such a lasting impression. You've got to share more stories like this.
Holy shit.
This is live holoportation. You can see the person, you can hear the person. This could be, I could be thousands of miles away. This doesn't have to be 20 feet away. I could beam you to a dozen places, and you can see, hear, and interact with the audience in every single location simultaneously. And with the AI stuff, You could be speaking English here, but you could be speaking French in France, or you could speak Japanese in Japan. So you can interact with your fans. You could do lectures and presentations and perform in whatever language to whoever. It's just.
Hey, you telling me that they don't already have this technology for their acts? Maybe like Charlie Kirk, or I don't know, man. I don't know.
Very much.
This is definitely a wild one. Do I have? Did I just? What happened to this? So I have a documentary, a movie. Let's see if I can find it. Where did it go? It's on this whole. We're gonna take a quick break while I find this documentary. So you stay tuned. If I can get a bit weird. Now the time is frozen. Why is the time frozen? This is a strange episode. But when I talk about strange things happen.
Gonna go far, that's what we on the run for, go hard. Sipping gin while we sitting, spitting those bars. Getting rich, got a vision, get the show cards. Lot of money laying around cause we go hard, always go hard. Spitting fire, see the sonar, hope they resonate with the vibe. Feel like Mozart, really I'm alive in my soul, feel like Mozart. That's what hoes are, too explosive so I show art. Yeah, I make art, sad to see people with no heart. I work to replace all of the negative, I go far with it. I'ma show all of these bitches, no complaining if you with it. Don't you dream me, see the vision, need my energy, the mission. Really take all my precision. Every single day I picture where I'll be the day we get it. Feed the brothers, feed the fam. I don't really give a damn. I don't wanna get famous. I wanna lend a hand. Give the cash and rubber bands to the people always standing on my side, always down to ride. Say I planned it. I'm the guy, life is supersized on the planet. In my mind, I don't gotta try, I already have it. I'll be doing damage. I was born a savage. In my mind, I already died, living lavish. Heaven is a state of mind, be glad if you have it. Living in a simulation, be patient to grab it. Universe will bring it to you if you ain't an average. If you live an average, then Satan found to manage your life. I'm just trying to tell you if you gonna roll the dice, gamble in your life instead of living precise. I ain't perfect, but I'm gonna earn it. No, it don't concern anybody but my person. Lesson that I learned is that people are gonna burn. Anything you do, they gonna pay the price. Nothing nice come in life for the dipshits. They just wish shit, never gonna manifest it. Never catch me resting, short-term blessings. I just want my brain to work.
All right, welcome back. So I have here the documents I was looking for. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and break this down. The 4 different steps in order to get to Project Bluebeam. The first step concerns the breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. It deals with staging earthquakes at certain precise locations around the planet where supposed new discoveries will finally explain that the meaning of the basic doctrines of all the world's major religions are wrong. This falsification will be used to make the population believe that all religious doctrine has been misunderstood and misinterpreted. This falsification started with the film 2001: A Space Odyssey, the TV series Star Trek, the movie Independence Day, E.T., all which deal with space invasion and protection. Jurassic Park was similarly pushed to please the idea of evolution, Darwinism. The second step deals with the gigantic space show, 3D optical holograms and sounds, laser projections of multiple holographic images in different parts of the world, each receiving a different image according to the predetermined original national religious faith. This new god will talk to them in all languages. As an example, the Soviets have manufactured advanced computers and have programmed them with minute psychological particles based on their studies of anatomy and biology of the human body, as well as their studies of anatomy, chemistry, and electricity of the human brain. These computers have also been fed with the different languages of the world. The third step deals with the telepathic electronic two-way communications, where electromagnetic low frequencies, VLFs, which is I'm not sure, video low frequencies waves, will reach the people of Earth through the inside of their brains, making each person believe that his own God is speaking to him from within his own soul. Such rays from satellites are fed from the memory of computers that store much data about the human being and his languages. These rays will then interlace and interweave with the natural thinking processes to form what we call artificial talk. They're already doing this by using phones and satellites and Wi-Fi routers to read our movement, read our brainwaves, read our thoughts, which is why, yes, they can read your thoughts. There's very special technology that can literally read your brainwaves, and that is why you can see advertisements for items on your phone when you're thinking about them, because your brain produces a sound and a frequency. You just don't see it or feel it, but a computer does. The fourth step involves universal supernatural manifestations using electronic means. This step contains 3 different orientations. The first one is to make mankind believe that an alien invasion is about to occur upon every major city on Earth. This is to push each nation to using its nuclear capability to strike back. In this manner, it would put each of these nations in a state of full disarmament before the United Nations after the false attack. The second is to make the Christian believe that a major rapture is coming with a simple played divine intervention from alleged good alien force coming to save the good people from a brutal satanic attack. Its goal is to get rid of all significant opposition to the New World Order. So they're trying to rapture out all the good Christians with spacecraft, so that way all the dumb bad people can be here underneath the New World Order. The third orientation is a mixture of electronic and supernatural forces. The waves or frequencies used at that time will allow supernatural forces through fiber optic cables, coaxial cable, electric and telephone lines in order to penetrate all electronic equipment and appliances. That will then be all a special microchip. What? Yeah. Oh. So they're gonna target the chips and satellites in our appliances, which they already have. They're already there. You know, all the Wi-Fi chips and everything that could be hacked. The goal of this step deals with the materialization of satanic ghosts, specters, or poltergeists all across the world in order to push all populations to the edge of a wave of suicide, killing, and permanent psychological disorder. After that night of 1,000 stars, humanity is believed to be ready for them to enter in a new Messiah, reestablish peace everywhere at any cost, and even establish freedom. So they're planning projections, they're planning satellites to be used, and this isn't just speculative. This is already happening. 3i Atlas isn't what we think it is. So the New World Order is getting a day closer. Is it, or is it not? We shall see. I am going to play a documentary, The Blue Beam Project. Yeah, pretty much. This is what it's. The documentary is on the Blue Beam Project. Project Blue Beam. Enjoy. Enjoy. I'm gonna watch with you.
The Morrises are experts in non-lethal armament, CIA, NSA, and world-renowned think tanks.
The technology necessary to project three-dimensional images to a point in space requires no new breakthroughs in science. We have the technology now.
Overall, the non-lethal weapons development program is aimed at giving our military options between talking and shooting.
The specific system development we really can't talk about.
But the Morrises did talk in general about secret military experiments with lifelike 3D projections in the sky called holograms.
Holograms on a battlefield would be to divert the attention of the enemy, to deliver propaganda or something very frightening to make the enemy run away if you think that he will believe that what you're sending is really an angel, a devil, a UFO.
And where could this type of weaponry be tested? Perhaps not coincidentally, along the US-Mexico border at the Army's electronic proving ground in Fort Huachuca, Arizona.
Keep in mind that test facilities like Fort Huachuca in Arizona are electrical optical test beds, and part of what they're testing are the effects of these electro-optical devices on a target population.
And the target population may be us.
America has to test American equipment in America.
The ultimate weapon in the info war would be so secret, so invisible, so undetectable, you would never know your mind was under attack. At Laurentian University in Ontario, Canada, a young student is about to undergo one of the strangest experiences of her life. They're hooking Denise's brain up to an electroencephalograph, or EEG machine. For 30 to 40 minutes, this will monitor her brainwaves, while these electric coils attached on either side of her head will immerse her brain in an electromagnetic field. Her brain actually completes the circuit between the two coils. The field pulsing through her brain is less powerful than one given off by a digital clock radio, but acutely controlled and focused at specific parts of the brain, it will open Denise's mind to outside suggestion by this man.
We're going to do a switch to see it's right or left hemisphere. Use your phone.
Dr. Michael Persinger is a professor of psychology and neuroscience. He is designing ways to put the power of mind control to good use. Dr. Persinger's research focuses on brain trauma, and he uses carefully controlled doses of electromagnetic radiation to induce relaxation and alleviate pain.
So what Sandra did was to initiate a opiate releasing pattern. That's a burst firing field that was stimulated once every 4 seconds. And that produces relaxation and a very pleasant sensation. Similarly, using the appropriate field, we can induce fear and apprehension, but clearly that would be unethical in that setting.
Dr. Persinger's tests suggest that carefully programmed electromagnetic frequencies can tap into individual brains and influence people's emotions.
The cognitive processes of the human brain are really quite simple. And if you understand how they work, you can make entire populations think and decide the manner in which you wish.
Many experts are skeptical of such an Orwellian scenario, but Persinger thinks the implications are chillingly real.
Suppose you generate a field that produces fear, fundamental fear, in large numbers of people. And then, over the television, more traditional way, as you say, the reason we're having this fear is because of this particular group. And now you start to move the population believing in a direction that you wish.
To influence 250 million people, the equivalent of the entire population of the United States, may not be that difficult. According to Dr. Persinger, we already have the technology, satellites and television, and radio transmitters. Mind control may already be happening. We know the mysterious PSYOPs plane can beam persuasive sounds and pictures into people's television sets. Will it someday beam disturbing frequencies directly into the mind? Mind control will be the ultimate non-lethal weapon.
Most people kind of in the back of their mind know there's something going on, but it doesn't have anything to do with football or basketball or my paying my rent, so I don't want to fool with it. It's not important.
Yeah,
But
because-
everybody kind of feels there's something going on.
Yeah, because most people live in a box, and they don't want to come out of the box.
No doubt about it.
They open the lid every so now and again and just peep outside and they close it.
Yep.
Do you think the governments are going to let us know at some point?
I think, I'll tell you what, again, it's just my opinion. Norio Hayakawa is a very good friend of mine. He's rather famous in the speaking circuit. And he's always talking about how he believes that the government is going to stage some kind of a UFO landing, and it's going to frighten everybody, and all the nations will come together and collectively come together as a trick.
Like a War of the Worlds?
Yeah, like a War of the Worlds.
Right.
And it's all going to be a trick, he thinks.
Right.
It's all going to be planned. And I thought, well, wait a minute, if you're going to get, there's a lot of intelligent people in this world, and governments are not stupid. So if you're going to pull off something like that, it better look good. Because it's going to be,
Absolutely.
right, it better look good and very realistic. I have then said, I can look at the same facts that he's stating and come up with a different conclusion. I'm of the opinion that very well possibly there's going to be an alien invasion. And the government knows it.
Right.
And consequently, they are trying to prepare the people so that they don't react. Because that was, as far as I'm concerned, that was a CIA operation when Orson Welles, back in the late 30s, 38, 39, did that War of the Worlds thing on radio. I'm sure the CIA was involved in that. And they wanted to see how the people will react if the people really thought that there was an alien invasion from another world. It was called War of the Worlds.
Right.
With Orson Welles, and people went berserk. Well, I don't think they're going to go berserk today. I think too many people in this world have already had experiences. They know something's up. But again, I would say I'm thinking that there very well might be a legitimate invasion soon.
Project Blue Beam is a top-secret operation of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, also known as NASA, of the United States of America. The goal of Project Blue Beam is to implement a New Age religion, with the Antichrist at its head, and to create a new world order, via a technologically simulated second coming of a new Messiah. The allegations were presented in 1994 by Quebecois journalist and conspiracy theorist Serge Monast, and later published in his book Project Blue Beam, NASA. In the 1970s and 1980s, Monast was a journalist, poet, and essayist. He was an active member of the Social Credit Party of Canada. In the early 1990s, he started writing on the theme of a new world order, and conspiracies hatched by secret societies, being particularly inspired by the works of William Guy Carr. Monast founded the International Free Press Agency, where he published most of his work on these themes, achieving some prominence with an interview on esotericist and ufologist Richard Glenn's TV show, Esoterism Experimental, in which he repeatedly warned his audience about the dangers of a world government. He was interviewed by Glenn a number of times up to 1996. In 1994, he published Project Blue Beam, NASA, in which he detailed his claim that NASA, with the help of the United Nations, was attempting to implement a New Age religion with the Antichrist at its head, and start a new world order, via a technologically simulated second coming of Christ. He also gave talks on this topic.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
After 1989, President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
During the conflict with Saddam Hussein, which he handled so superbly in a short-term sense, we kept talking about a new world order. And then President Bush, at the end of that war, promised he would give 4 graduation addresses, 4 commencement addresses, describing that new world order and what America's role was going to be in it. Turned out he gave one of those addresses and canceled the other 3 and talked about something else. That's what, because they weren't ready yet.
That in fact we're all going to have to give up a little bit of our sovereignty in order to make the world work.
And this present window of opportunity, during which a truly peaceful and interdependent world order might be built, will not be here for too long. Already there are powerful forces at work that threaten to destroy all of our hopes and efforts to erect an enduring structure of global cooperation.
Are you optimistic a global system can happen from what we've heard so far?
It could happen, and in fact it's in the works.
By 1995 and 1996, Monast said he was being hunted by the police and authorities for involvement in networks of prohibited information. He had homeschooled his 2 children, who were then taken away and made wards of the state in September 1996 so that they would receive a public education. Serge Monast died of a heart attack in his home in December 1996, at the age of 51, the day after being arrested and spending a night in jail. His followers claim his death was suspicious, suggesting he was assassinated by psychotronic weapons to keep from continuing his investigations.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must meet its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
The Project Bluebeam operation has 4 different steps in order to implement the New Age religion, with the Antichrist at its head. The New Age religion is the very foundation for the New World government. Without a universal belief in the New Age religion, the success of the New World Order will be impossible to implement.
We all worship the same God, Christian and Muslim?
I think we do.
We have different routes of getting to the Almighty.
Do Christians and non-Christians, do Muslims go to heaven, in your mind?
Yes, they do. We have different routes of getting there.
I think everybody that loves Christ or knows Christ, whether they're conscious of it or not, they're members of the body of Christ. And that's what God is doing today. He's calling people out of the world for his name, whether they come from the Muslim world or the Buddhist world or the Christian world or the non-believing world. They are members of the body of Christ because they've been called by God. They may not even know the name of Jesus, but they know in their heart that they need something that they don't have, and they turn to the only light that they have. And I think that they are saved and that they're going to be with us in heaven.
Until I die, I'll proclaim nothing but love for all my brothers and sisters in Christ, my Catholic brothers and sisters, Protestant brothers and sisters, Christian Reformers, Lutherans, I don't care what label you are.
And you know, Jack, there are so many other Protestant ministers who are doing the same thing as you.
Yes.
You're comfortable with the Vatican?
Oh, I'm very comfortable with the Vatican. I've been to see the Pope several times. They believe in Christ. They believe in the death of Christ on the cross and his resurrection. I feel that I belong to all the churches. I'm equally at home in an Anglican or Baptist church or Brethren Assembly or Roman Catholic Church.
You know what, we don't all have the same views, and I realize Mormonism is not traditional Christianity, but I'm probably a little broader and more open in the fact that when somebody loves Jesus and believes they're the Son of God, that's good for me.
Robert McGinnis with the Family Research Council says it appears the hidden agenda is to unite people under one religious organization so they will peacefully accept UN goals such as population control, abortion rights, and one world government.
The Blue Beam Project will pretend to be the universal fulfillment of the prophecies of old, as major an event as that which took place 2,000 years ago. This one God will in fact function as the Antichrist, who will explain that the various scriptures have been misunderstood, that the religious of old are responsible for turning brother against brother, nation against nation, that the religions of the world must be abolished to make way for the Golden Age, New Age, of the one world religion, representing the one God they see before them. Naturally, this superbly staged, full-scale production will result in social and religious disorder on a massive scale.
Well, archaeologists in southern Israel making a major discovery, shedding new light on biblical history, uncovering a 3,000-year-old metropolis, once inhabited by the Philistines. Well, the Hebrew Bible's ultimate bad guys, one of the city's most famous residents, Goliath, you know, the warrior defeated by a young King David. Joining me now on the phone, the archaeologist in charge of the dig, Aaron Mayer, joins me now. What an exciting find for you, and I understand that you led this dig, one of the many archaeologists that have apparently excavated some pretty compelling evidence. What did you find this week in the city of Gath?
Well, first of all, good evening, Julie, or in Israel it's good evening, over there it's good afternoon. We've been excavating at this site for more than 15 years, and we just started our 15th season, and we have about 100 and something people from all over the world, and we found a lot of evidence of a very thriving and interesting culture. And when you read the biblical text and you sort of get the picture of the Philistines being the ultimate enemy of the Israelites, you sort of get an impression that they're just a barbarian culture, and in fact they're very much of a sophisticated culture, and I would say even that at certain times they're even more sophisticated than the Israelites.
It's interesting, you know, on the Happening Now homepage, we posted a quiz question. Who were the Bible's bad guys, as we're calling them today? The Greeks, the Philistines, the Koreans, the Huns, the Jordanians. As we now know, the answer is the Philistines. And you were talking about shedding some light on the culture of the Philistines, who are the, of course, arch enemies of the Israelites. What is it about what you found that proves or disproves that theory?
Well, I think, first of all, we know a lot about the Philistines from the biblical text, but that, of course, is a text that's, you know, has its own agendas. You know, it's a religious, ideological text written by the Israelites, so they clearly would view their enemies in a very specific, subjective manner. So what we can provide here is to have a view of daily life of the Philistines and sort of understand what's behind the descriptions of the Philistines in the biblical text. So, for example, the biblical text alludes to the fact that they come from somewhere outside the region. And we can show very clearly that the Philistines, in fact, derived from somewhere near ancient Greece. We hear of Philistines with names that are non-Semitic, such as Goliath, such as Achish, and others. We can show this based on the archaeological evidence. And we can even show very simple things of daily life, substantial differences between the Philistines and the Israelites, which probably in ancient times really define these two cultures. Just like today, we very often define the differences between ethnic groups based on what they wear, what they eat. So, for example, the Philistines ate pig and dog meat. The Israelites wouldn't touch that. So this is probably things that were very substantial. And when you look at stories of like Samson fighting against the Philistines, but he didn't only fight against them, he also married a couple of them. So there's a very intricate relationship between the Philistines and the Israelites.
And it still is. Aaron Mayer, thank you very, very much. We appreciate you coming on. We're going to take a...
The first step of Project Bluebeam concerns the breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. This will apparently be accomplished by faking earthquakes at precise locations around the planet. At these new locations, supposedly new discoveries will finally explain to all people the error of all fundamental religious doctrines, specifically the Christian and Muslim doctrines. The falsification of this information will be used to make all nations believe that their religious doctrines have been misunderstood for centuries, and misinterpreted. These new rediscoveries will be used to discredit all fundamental religious doctrines. This is the first preparation for the plan for humanity, because what they want to do is destroy the beliefs of all Christians and Muslims on the planet. To do that, they need some false proof from the far past that will prove to all nations that their religions have all been misinterpreted and misunderstood.
All right, it is great to have you along for breakfast this morning. Our next guest, Lloyd Pye, is the caretaker of what's referred to as the Star Child skull, an unusually shaped skull found in Mexico. Now, he's in the country, in New Zealand, this week, raising money to research the skull's origins, which he believes could be alien. Lloyd Pye is with me. Good morning to you.
Thank you.
And welcome to New Zealand.
Good to be here.
We've got a couple of skulls here, and we only have a few minutes, and you've spent how many years on this project?
11th year.
11th year.
Right.
We only have a few minutes. These are model skulls. This is the skull of a slightly smaller than usual normal human being.
Right.
And this is an exact replica of the skull that was found in Mexico in, what, 1930?
Right, exactly.
All right.
Well, the differences are that the bone in this one is half as thick as it should be. If you're welcome to pick them up and feel.
The difference in weight is substantial.
Exactly.
Yeah,
if you hold that one, you'll see.
Yeah, that's very, very light.
Right.
And yet, it has been deemed to be twice as strong as average bone.
Right. It's got some fibers woven through it, Paul, that is like no other bone in the world. There's no other bone we know of that has these fibers woven through, and those add strength to it. Another thing that does is the bone itself is more like tooth enamel than bone. It's much harder than average bone due to its chemistry. So that's one of just many things that are very, very unusual about this skull. As we were saying, it weighs half as much, the bone is half as thick, it's 2 or 3 times as hard. If you look around here at the rear, one of the most important differences is this area right here is, as you can see and feel, is a dent. We all have a knot at the rear of our heads.
Yes.
Everybody has that. And that's human, monkey, chimp. Every animal that's got a head attached to a neck has this. This does not. This is missing that.
Right. There are also some interesting nasal formations there too, aren't there?
Well, it has no sinuses, for example. It's got very, very shallow eye sockets. So if it had eyes like human eyes, it would be very dangerous because it would be bulging off the face.
Now, the one thing that, I mean, there are certain things we know as an absolute fact. We know as an absolute fact that this is bone. We know as an absolute fact that it is a skull.
Exactly.
So those things we know. Now lay people are going to look at that and they're going to say, is it not just a deformity?
We've had experts of various kinds look at it in great detail, and they can't come up with a deformity that would cause all these things to change about it. It's chemistry, put fibers in the bone, give it such an increased brain capacity, take away its sinuses. When you add up all the things that are different about it, there's no deformity known that makes it that way. Plus, we have the fact of a DNA test that was run already that's established that its mother was human and its father was not. We don't know what his father was.
From preliminary DNA tests, because obviously you want to raise some more money to do much more in-depth DNA tests, because you would like from that to construct an entire skeleton, effectively. But from the preliminary tests, you've determined that it is of or involves human form, human origin.
What we think, looking at the DNA test from 203, we're fairly convinced that it's a human-alien hybrid of some kind. What we need to establish by getting the test to recover the entire genome, we will be able to lay its full genome down against a human, against a chimp, against a gorilla, and soon against a Neanderthal, and we will know where it lays on that line.
All right. It's fascinating, and I mean, you'd have to be a fool to sit here and not be fascinated by it, and obviously it's compelled you for many, many years. You are an ex-US intelligence special agent. But when you say its mother was human, its father was an alien, a huge number of people will think you are a kook.
Right. Well, they have every right to think that. When I first saw it and they first gave it to me and I first started, I thought, sure, it was a deformity. I was confident it had to be a deformity. And every test we've done many tests, all the tests you can do, really, up to this final genomic DNA test. We've done everything we can do, and every test it's passed.
You will be speaking in New Zealand?
I'm speaking in New Zealand on Sunday at the Mount Albert War Memorial. If anybody interested in attending, contact uncensored.co.nz or co.nz, however you say it.
Yep.
Right. Uncensored Magazine. John Eisen has brought me over to speak at that.
And we will have details on our website too, so people can go to our website. Lloyd, thank you very much for joining us. Lloyd Pye. That is extraordinarily light. Feel how light that is.
Ooh.
So it's half the weight, twice the strength.
Pass me the other one, please.
Just sure.
Ooh.
Didn't you believe me, Ali?
No, I believed you. I like to get my hands on things for myself. Thanks. That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd really like
it's
to hear
weird,
the
isn't
full
it?
story
It's
from you
weird.
on Sunday. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Crusoe! Crusoe!史上初、ネッシー東京湾に現るビッグイベントの瞬間でした。Thank you very much, Alex Stone. Thank you. Thank you. さあ。
ネス湖に消えたと言われるあのネッシーがなぜか東京湾に出現。お台場の海で暴れるこのネッシー、実はこちらウォータースクリーンというもので、特殊機器によって水を扇状に吹き上げスクリーンを作り出し、立体的な動画を映し出す新技術なんです。ネッシーと少年の友情を描いた映画のイベントが行われ、水のスクリーンに現れたネッシーは全長15メートルとなかなかの迫力でした。
The second step of Project Bluebeam involves a gigantic space show with three-dimensional optical holograms, sounds, and laser projections of multiple holographic images to different parts of the world, each receiving a different image according to the predominating regional national religious faith. This new God will be speaking in all languages. At the end of this light show, the gods will all merge into one God, the Antichrist. These holographic images will be projected from space-based laser-generating satellites, beaming simultaneous images to the four corners of the planet. We see tests of these holographic images every once in a while.
de Philippe, non. C'est vrai que non, Dieu, il s'est levé de ce Dieu. C'est le seul à la scène. Alléluia. Amen. That's wonderful.
The result of these deliberately staged events will be to show the world the new Christ, the new Messiah, Matria, for the immediate implementation of the New World religion. The voice of the new Messiah will be accomplished with the aid of a Soviet supercomputer, fed with the minute physio-psychological particulars based on their studies of the anatomy and electromechanical composition of the human body, and the studies of the electrical, chemical, and biological properties of the human brain.
In the 1960s, Professor Jose Delgado took a normally hostile bull and implanted electrodes into its brain, electrodes that could be activated by a radio transmitter. His objective was to see if stimulation of the bull's midbrain could short-circuit the rage signals, stopping the bull before it reached the matador. After the bull had recovered from the implantation and in mid-charge, the button was pressed. The bull's aggression ceased instantly. A clearer experiment was performed with cats. In this classic example, the hypothalamus, the rhythm maker, was implanted with electrodes. Could it be responsible not just for rhythms, but also for rage? The switch is turned. Then the switch is turned off. So indeed, the hypothalamus does control certain types of aggression.
This is CIA Director David Petraeus in a speech he made or a talk he talked about the Internet of Things. This is what he said. Items of interest will be located, identified, monitored, and remotely controlled through technologies such as radio frequency identification, microchips, sensor networks, tiny embedded servers, and energy harvesters, all connected to the next generation of internet using abundant, low-cost and high-power computing that would transform the art of spying and allow people to be monitored and automatically without planting bugs or direct infiltration. He said that this involved new technologies which added processors and web connections to previously home appliances like fridges, ovens, lighting systems. Remember that for a second. This is known as the Internet of Things. Petraeus has confirmed that people would be watched through televisions. These are Orwell's screens. So the idea of the smart meters is to create this energetic environment, this information environment, which is delivering information about you to the authorities and delivering information from the authorities at the subconscious level to speak to you. The smart grid is watching you. And the idea then is to connect these grids in different countries into a global grid. They talk about it in their documents.
These computers were fed, as well, with the languages of all human cultures, and their meanings. The dialects of all cultures have been fed into the computers from satellite transmissions. The Soviets began to feed the computers with objective programs like the ones of the new Messiah. It also seems that the Soviets, the New World Order people, have resorted to suicidal methods with the human society by allocating electronic wavelengths for every person, and every society, and culture to induce suicidal thoughts if the person doesn't comply with the dictates of the New World Order.
Deadly and dedicated. In this note from White's diaries, it says, "Call Lovell regarding TD." TD was a rather transparent cover for Truth Drug. George White worked with the Truth Drug Committee here at St. Elizabeth's Hospital in the nation's capital. They experimented with mescaline, scopolamine, and marijuana on unwitting victims. The committee soon learned there was no easy panacea, no truth drug at this stage. But White and later colleagues would not stop trying. The goal remained the same: As this 1952 CIA memo says, the aim is controlling an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will, and even against such fundamental laws of nature as self-preservation. But it was a discovery here in Basel, Switzerland, at Sandoz Laboratories by Dr. Albert Hofmann that led the intelligence agencies of America to believe that they had found the panacea. The discovery was lysergic acid diethylamide, LSD. From a previously classified deposition of Dr. James Cattell, who administered the mescaline derivative, on the purpose of the drug testing, to produce symptoms similar to those that you see in schizophrenia, on how much the patient knew about all this. We didn't delineate all the possibilities of what might happen because then you contaminate your experiment. Cattell then relates that he never even knew what drug he had given Harold Blauer because of the secrecy of the Army experiments. We didn't know whether it was dog piss. This was secret. This was a secret. We weren't in on it. We asked Blauer's daughter Elizabeth for her reaction.
How can anybody react to that? I mean, that is so far from what you'd expect from a human being, never mind a doctor, never mind a professional specialist who's supposed to care about people's minds. It's unbelievable.
A suit filed by Elizabeth Barrett against the Army Chemical Corps is now pending in federal court. Other Army experiments continued on mental patients around the country. Work done at the Tulane Medical Center in New Orleans involved several drugs, hallucinogenics, and electrodes implanted in the brain. The chief researcher was Dr. Russell Monroe, now head of the psychiatry department at the University of Maryland. These are various progress reports written by Dr. Monroe and recently obtained by ABC News. From one of the progress reports, a report of a woman who had electrodes implanted in the brain and was then given LSD and other drugs. She became agitated, cried, lapsed into a trance-like state. Felt as if she were about to have a convulsion, experienced waves of darkness and light, had bizarre sensations in her neck and legs, said somebody was trying to manipulate her body.
The third step of Project Blue Beam deals with telepathic electronic two-way communication, where ELF, extra low frequency, VLF, very low frequency, and LF, low frequency, waves will reach each person from within his or her own mind, convincing each of them that their own God is speaking to them from the very depths of their own soul.
Will you pull me the mainstream news article about the new light bulbs that are going to have computer signals going through them, basically programming and interfacing with your computer, and the other patent number article dealing with the admission that not only does the flicker rate on TV put you into a mesmerized, hypnotized, highly suggestible state, but that not only propaganda messages can be on what's being said on TV, that's one level of propaganda, and the flicker rate puts you in that suggestible state, but that actual data that they can put signals in the flicker that can make you sick, make you angry, make you happy. This is mind control. You know, 100 years ago, how would a hypnotist hypnotize you? You know, they do it by having you watch a flashing light or a watch. Well, this is 21st century versions of that. You know, watch the watch, listen to me, do what I say. You know, for those of you out there tuning in for the first time who are hearing this and laughing at what I'm saying, let me just give you a few examples of what I'm talking about. Then I'll get into what's happening in North Africa and the Middle East and what's happening with the economy. Here is, yeah, this is good, but there's one other. There's the actual article on this patent. There's one more article I need, guys. Yeah, thank you. The actual article about the patent. But here's the patent. It's patent 6-506-148, and it's at the U.S. Patent Office. Current U.S. class, current international class, and it's got its coded larger number there, U.S. patent document. This is from January 14th, 2003, and this is just one of countless patent documents that are out there dealing with this, and it's titled Nervous System Manipulation by Electromagnetic Fields from Monitors. Psychological effects have been observed in human subjects in response to stimulation of the skin with weak magnetic fields that are pulsed with a certain frequency near the 1.5 hertz to 2.4 hertz, such as to excite a sensory resonance. Many computer monitors and TV tubes, when displaying pulsed images, emit pulse electromagnetic fields of sufficient amplitudes to cause such excitation. It is therefore possible to manipulate the nervous system of a subject by pulsing images displayed on a nearby computer monitor or TV set. For the latter, the image pulsing may be embedded in the program material. Did you hear that on the actual video that they're feeding into it? The original signal, or it may be overlaid by modulating a video stream, either with an RF signal or as a video signal. The image displayed on the computer monitor may be pulsed effectively by a simple computer program. For certain monitors, pulsed electromagnetic fields capable of exciting sensory resonances in nearby subjects may be generated even as the display images are pulsed with a subliminal intensity. That means you don't know about it or notice it. Here's an article about it. Patent nervous system manipulation from TV monitors. Now, we've had Dr. Nick Begich, whose brother is also a U.S. Senator, his father, a former congressman who was murdered. But side issue. Dr. Nick Begich has always tried to explain to me, Alex, yes, they admit they want to put lithium in the water to calm us, and now that's mainstream news. Even Fox News reports how great it's going to be to have lithium in our water, and how Japan's moving to do it, and how sodium fluoride also brain damages you and calms you and makes you servile and lowers your IQ. But he said that's child's play compared to the thousands of patents, most of them U.S. government, dealing with electromagnetics through cell towers, through TV towers, through cell phones, where they can modulate and make you throw up, make you become giddy, make you have an aphrodisiac, make you die, make you have a heart attack. And I remember close to 10 years ago, the Baltimore Sun, somebody ought to research it and pull it up, I forget the exact headline, but it was DARPA looking at ways to calm the public during riots. They're not just looking at sound cannons or microwave guns. Now those are rolled out at the Tea Party, as you've seen. I was kooky to cover it 10 years ago. Now it's mainstream news, and it's being used against us. But they said they're also getting ready to deploy towers that put off a magnetic resonance that will calm people during emergencies.
Such rays from satellites are fed from the memories of computers that have stored massive data about every human on Earth, and their languages. The rays will then interlace with their natural thinking to form what we call diffuse artificial thought. That kind of technology goes into the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s research where the human brain has been compared to a computer. Information is fed in, processed, integrated, and then a response is formulated and acted upon. The fourth and final step of Operation Bluebeam involves making humanity think an alien invasion is about to occur at every major city in the world.
Wow.
What's going on this planet?
Wow.
As you know.
Wow, a guy that talks to 16 million people a day. I'm lucky if I talk to 2 million. George Norrie, the icon, second biggest radio show in the world, calling in. George, so much is happening. I'm glad you called because all these military personnel said UFOs were going to show up yesterday and today. I made fun of it, and here's ABC News. FAA unable to identify object flying over New York City. And I look at it, it looks like something out of Star Wars or The Fifth Element. You're the expert on this. What in the world is going on?
It is bizarre. That's going to be our first hour tonight, Alex, on Coast to Coast. Nobody knows what's going on. Police say it could have been a balloon. Now, balloons don't stay stationary up there unless they're tethered. There was no tether.
Balloons don't have big lights on the front of them like out of Blade Runner.
Exactly. And what about the reports of China shutting down airports? something bizarre is going on here. Now, you know, I'm going to be one of the first to say, look, some of this could be governmental. There's no doubt about that. But I've always believed that this planet's been visited by ETs, and we might have even been seeded by them. But something's going on. If all this is real, and they're coming back now, it's strange. But you got to remember, there's always been a talk about Project Bluebeam, and that is a false flag, a UFO invasion to get us all riled up so the New World Order can do what they want to do. You're aware of it, I'm aware of it, and I think we need to constantly watch that possibility.
People can find out all of this at davidike.com, but the final issues I want to cover with you, you were just on, wasn't it just last week, David?
Yeah, last week, mate.
And we were talking about Project Bluebeam, a staged fake alien invasion. And folks, if you don't believe us, just search the term Project Bluebeam. Part of it's been declassified. It goes back to the 60s and 70s. And in the 90s, they declassified stuff. I even saw in Popular Mechanics about 3,000-foot holograms the Pentagon can project of the Easter Bunny, Jesus, Buddha, whatever they want. You know, David Icke, I mean, you know, they can project Superman up there. They can project Alex Jones. They can project, you know, George Bush, Kim Jong-il. They can do anything they wanted, and they admitted to unify the earth against an outside alien threat. That's how they want to get their world government.
Right.
Well, to then see these, quote, military people come out and say, the aliens will arrive over major cities, including New York, on the 13th. And then we're going to show that ABC News article up on screen right now that I'm going to Zbigniew Brzezinski after that. Sorry, I flipped that on the guys. FAA unable to identify object flying over New York City, and it looks like something out of you know, Star Wars / The Fifth Element, hovering with, you know, lights on it and everything. Well, we know they've got all sorts of hovercraft. We know the Germans had stuff that looked like flying saucers. That's where the original stories. We know they say the SR-71 Blackbird in service in 55, developed in 52. So they say the fastest plane in the world, you know, over 50 years ago. Total baloney. We know that they kept for 20 years secret the B-2 bomber. We know that DARPA had computers, internet in the 60s. We know all that, but to now have the Pentagon and the press club and all this promotion and all these TV shows and all this push that aliens are about to land. David, I'm going to give you the floor for about 5 minutes on this, and I've got this Zbigniew Brzezinski clip and about how we're going to win. We'll get your take on that, and I'll let you get out to you know, some of the other interviews and things you're doing there in New York City. But, I mean, here it is, because this morning I'm like, oh, the UFOs didn't come, and then boom, they arrive. There's reports all over the world. I mean, this is big. I mean, if aliens are showing up, folks, you're not going to have Air Force officers telling you they're about to arrive. And we need to look up the names of all these people and really do some deep research, because we know there's a government program to stage this, to unify people, and also to cover up your research that there is off-world activity and that they're trying to create a hoax to control that situation. David, for about 5-6 minutes, you've got the floor. Then I've got one other issue for you. David Icke of davidike.com.
Slowly over time, the New World Order has been trying to convince the masses through conditioning that aliens are real, and are visiting our planet. As part of the Iron Mountain Report, supposedly commissioned by the United States government in the early 1960s, a possible alien threat scenario was envisioned in this report as a means to uniting the masses together against an alien invasion. Slowly the masses have been exposed over time to the possibility of aliens inhabiting our universe. The movie Independence Day was the first to forward this notion, along with Battle, Los Angeles and many others. Manufactured UFO sightings and spacecrafts have been seen for decades and have been increasing in numbers in recent years and months. We have astronauts and military departments from all across Europe and even here in the United States disclosing possible UFO sightings and encounters in a concerted effort to convince us that aliens are real. We even have the Pope and the Vatican's astronomy experts telling us that aliens are real.
More secure for you and your children. I couldn't help at one point in my discussions privately with General Secretary Gorbachev, when you stop to think that we're all God's children wherever we may live in the world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held, if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe, we'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together.
But there are no aliens there. So then when the Roswell thing came up, I knew we'd get, gazillions of letters. So I had all the Roswell papers reviewed, everything.
If you saw that there were aliens there, would you tell us?
Yeah.
You would?
I would. Well, I think, look, what do we know? We know now we live in an ever-expanding universe. We know that there are billions of stars and planets literally out there, and the universe is getting bigger. We know from our fancy telescopes that just in the last 2 years, more than 20 planets have been identified outside our solar system that seem to be far enough away from their suns and dense enough that they might be able to support some form of life. So it makes it increasingly less likely that we're alone.
Oh, you're trying to give me a hint that there are aliens.
No, I'm trying to tell you I don't know.
Oh.
But if we were visited someday, I wouldn't be surprised. I just hope that it's not like Independence Day.
Yeah, right.
That it's a conflict.
Well, now we have friendly
Maybe the only way to unite this incredibly divided world of ours. They're out there. We better think of how all the differences among people on Earth would seem small if we felt threatened by a space invader. That's the whole theory of independence.
You're right. You're
Everybody
right.
gets together and makes nice, and
You and Bill O'Reilly would be hiding in a bunker together.
Yeah. Oh, Bill O'Reilly, he every mean thing he ever said about me. That's the same thing. I don't care. Look at that.
American presidents, key politicians and connected insiders have publicly wondered about mankind's fate if the planet was attacked by alien forces without provocation. Would such an attack, such as the one depicted in the science fiction classic movie, Independence Day, result in a one-world government? In this final phase of the plan, it will be made clear to the people that an alien invasion is imminent and the consolidation of government, religion, military and economic institutions will be needed for mankind to survive. This false attack is a way to push each major nation into using its nuclear capability to strike back. In this manner, it would put each of these nations in a state of full disarmament before the United Nations takes over.
The U.S. presidential motorcade arrives at the United Nations, passing the ever-present groups of demonstrators assembled on the other side of the road. A sense of anticipation in the General Assembly chamber, and a warm reception for Barack Obama as he walks to the podium, his wife seated among the heads of state and dignitaries.
The time has come for the world to move in a new direction. We must embrace a new era of engagement based on mutual interest and mutual respect, and our work must begin now.
And the president outlined his vision of a new world order in which the U.S. would participate fully, one rooted on 4 basic principles:
non-proliferation and disarmament, the promotion of peace and security, the preservation of our planet, and a global economy that advances opportunity for all people.
The UN Secretary General had opened proceedings, sticking to his allotted time, calling for international unity.
If ever there were a time to act in a spirit of renewed multilateralism, a moment to create a United Nations of genuine collective action, it is now. Now is our time. A time to put the United back into the United Nations. United in purpose, united in action.
And a reminder that this UN building is due to be closed for renovation at the end of these proceedings.
Our common ambition is to make this outward renovation the symbol of inward renewal.
A renewal, importantly, in which the United States says it is willing to both lead and be part of. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, at the United Nations in New York.
Paradoxically, this moment of crisis is also one of great opportunity. And you know, I've been here quite often.
You mean to this table?
At this table. And excessive optimism is not my distinguishing trait.
No, it's not.
But
so there is excessive optimism now?
No, I don't think there's excessive optimism.
Okay, well, you moderate optimism.
I think that when the new administration assesses the position in which it finds itself, it will see a huge crisis and terrible problems. But it can, I could see that it sees a glimmer in which it could construct an international system out of it. If you look back to the end of the Second World War, many people now think that the period between 1945 and 1950 was in many ways the most creative period or one of the most creative periods of American foreign policy. But it started with chaos and fear of Russian invasion of Europe and governments that were very weak and people who were very...
So the United Nations came out of that, the Marshall Plan came out of that.
That's right, and NATO
came out of that, and later the the Truman Doctrine came out of that later.
Right.
There is opportunity in the crisis because, repeat it for me, because?
I think because when you look at the medium-term interests and the long-term interests of the key players, India, China, Russia, America, Europe, they really are importantly parallel. That we should not look at this current situation from a posture of being paralyzed by the symptoms of crisis.
Fair enough. Within the crisis, there is opportunity. But when you talk about a new structure, I'm not sure you use the term new world order. I mean, what is it? Is it simply a world order that's defined by new interest and new mutuality of interest?
Well, that's certainly how you have to start. And I know the view that you start by converting the whole world to our political philosophy. I don't think that can be done in one or two terms of an administration. That's a historic process that has its own rhythm.
Has it suffered a setback, A, because of Iraq, and B, because of the economic crisis?
And what suffered a setback?
The idea of America leading and building a whole new consensus for a kind of...
Look, there are so many problems in the world at this moment that can only be dealt with on a global basis. And that's unique. Proliferation.
Environment. In some cases, global health.
Right. So all of these issues necessitate a global approach. So you don't have to invent an international order. And so every country has to mitigate its pure national interest by the global necessities to some extent.
Or define its natural interest
or define its national
by the
interest,
global necessities.
But it cannot push its own technically selfish interests in talking to the leaders of the world that I have met and counted in recent months. To what extent their willingness to cooperate with America has been enhanced by the very recent crisis.
The economic crisis.
The economic crisis, and also the way the whole international system is evolving. And I'm not saying that leaders will be able to be up to all the opportunities that I may, as an outsider, may perceive. But I think they can start moving in that direction. And I'm actually fairly hopeful that we will be moving in that direction.
It seems to me the larger point you're making is that the economic crisis that is prevalent in the United States, in Europe, in Russia, and in China, India, offers an opportunity to make a case for something new rather than something old.
Yes, funnily enough, even the jihadist crisis is teaching everybody. It's bringing home to everybody that international affairs cannot be conducted entirely by drawing borders and then defining international politics by who crosses what borders with organized military force. This has now been reinforced by the fact that the financial crisis, which totally unexpectedly has spread around the world, limits the resources that each country has for a foreign policy geared to assertion of its own pure interests. So every country is obliged to set certain priorities, so that foreign policy now becomes an exercise into seeing whether the inevitable priorities that each country has to set for itself can be meshed in some manner to reinforce each other. Can it be done? I don't know that. It should be attempted, and I think there's a good chance of it.
What would you call this age, this opportunity, this moment?
It's a good question. I haven't condensed it into maybe the age of compatible interests.
Pretty good. Thank you. Good to see you again.
Great pleasure to be here.
Henry Kissinger, back from Russia. Many questions about Russia we didn't get to, the relative power of Medvedev and Putin and all of that in terms of Russia and its internal questions as well. But this evening, a look at how the world might be.